good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Carrow Road. Norwich City take on QPR here this afternoon in desperate need of a win and looking for obviously successive championship wins for the first time since August. We will bring you the team news as it drops in a minute or so, expecting that to be pretty interesting. So we'll have a look at what it looks like in about a minute. Norwich, of course, hoping to end what is a run of 3 straight defeats here at Carrow Road. For perspective, they've never, outside the top flight, lost 4 on the spin. So there's that record. And if you want some extra bonus, I guess, of a positive nature, QPR have only won one of their last 18 times here, and that was in 2008 under Ian Dowie, I believe. So that goes to show quite how long ago it was. And we will bring you the team news as it drops. It's going to be fascinating to see the decisions that David Wagner has made, particularly in centre-back areas, particularly in striking areas, wing areas as well. Does John Rowe make it? We expect to find out in about 5 seconds or so. And we'll bring that to you as it drops in just a second. It should be any second now. I am eagerly, here we are. This is the Norwich City team. It's Long in goal, Stacey, Bart, Duffy and Yanulis as the back 4, Sarah and McLean as the midfield 2, Fashnacht and Hernandez out wide with Barnes and Hwang up front. So I'll just read that again to you. George Long in goal, Stacey, Bart, Duffy and Yanulis the back 4, Sarah and McLean the midfield 2, Fashnacht and Hernandez out wide with Ashley Barnes behind Hwang Yu-Zhou. The subs bench, Reyes, Fisher, McCallum, Warner, Gibbs, Springett, Nunez, Sainz and Idah. Now this starting 11, the youngest player in it is 24. That's Gabriel Sarah. He's the only player in this Norwich City starting 11 under the age of 27. It has an average age of 29.8, and that is the. I'm trying not to use the word oldest, but I'll use the word. That's the oldest on average 11 that's been named in the Championship this season. Sam, let's get your thoughts on that starting 11. What do you make of it? Ashley Barnes back, I suppose, the headline.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of a few positives in there. Fans will be pleased to see Sainz in the team, in the starting lineup for the first time as well. But I think it also embodies a lot of the weaknesses in Wagner's team selection that probably a lot of people have highlighted, and a lot of people will be disappointed with. You obviously just spoke there about the age issue, and I think throughout that team really there are signs of prioritising experience and age over other things, and over maybe youth and pace and athleticism. Obviously, Jayden Warner drops out for Shane Duffy, which, although Warner didn't have his best game against Cardiff, I think is a little bit harsh, especially given Duffy's obviously earned himself a suspension to take him out of that team in the first place. I think Danny Bart earned his place in the team with a very impressive performance at centre-back. I am quite surprised to see Hwang in there over Adam Idah. I'm not really sure what the thinking is behind that. I suppose that, again, thanks very much, it's that sort of experience point maybe, but he doesn't really bring much in the dressing room that Idah doesn't. Idah obviously scored for Ireland. I know Hwang scored on international duty, but it's arguable that Idah saved Wagner's job a couple of weeks ago. So if I was him, to be honest, I'd be furious, to be honest. I was trying to find a more diplomatic way of putting it, but I don't think people will be especially happy with that. It's got a lot of the hallmarks of the team selections we've seen throughout the season, really. So in a way, it feels like that team should be a surprise and should be a strange one. But I think it's probably exactly what Norwich fans have come to expect from Wagner.
Yeah, just on Adam Idah. I mean, you asked David Wagner about this the other day. It's 5 in 7 starts. I'm a little bit rusty. Is that right?
Yes.
So 5 goals in 7 starts. Is there a fear now, and it happens with strikers at points, where they become really good impact substitutions and they kind of get cast in that role? I'll just read the team again for Brian, 1 second. The team, Brian, is Long in goal, Stacey, Bart, Duffy, Yanulis, Sarah McLean, Fashnacht, Hernandez, Barnes and Hwang. But yeah, on Adam Idah, is there a fear that he gets cast in that role, do you think, as this kind of super sub, which maybe is slightly unfair on him?
Yeah, that has been part of my thinking, has been, does Wagner sort of view him as that? I think although he has scored 5 times in 7 starts, he's only scored twice actually when he started games. And I think Both of those were in that Plymouth game, obviously, when he scored when the game was basically already lost. So maybe Wagner does see him as more as somebody who wants to make an impact off the bench, or who is better at making an impact off the bench. Of course, no footballer really wants to be cast in that role, because it means you're likely to be sat out of the starting 11 for long periods. That said, I don't really see what Hwang has offered at any point throughout his time at Norwich to warrant continual starting, which is what it's been for the last few weeks. Maybe after that first goal against Sunderland and what was a pretty decent performance, he earned it after that. But since then, obviously, not really much positively to speak about. He also doesn't really seem to suit Wagner's system as well as Idah. Idah, more of a physical presence. Hwang's pressing isn't really as intelligent either. So, yeah, a few perplexing things there. The only thing I can really go off, as you've highlighted there, really is the fact that Idah has scored most of his goals as a substitute. Obviously, that late one against Hull to start the season as well will stick in people's minds. But yeah, I do feel for him a bit, because at some point the motivation to come on and make that impact when you've been on the bench is lost, because I imagine what is inspiring Idah to go out and put in such performances is the idea that he might start as a result. If he's thinking that this is going to become his role now, maybe there's not that same fire and that same hunger that not being in the team has provided. So I do feel for him a little bit. I'm not sure if long term it's the best decision, but as you say, I think it makes sense that the rationale behind it would be maybe that he's going to be cast in a super sub role from now on.
And to contrast what we said in terms of the starting 11, the average age, as I said, 29.8. No Championship side has fielded a team with a higher average age this season. The bench is very, very, very youthful. Reyes, Sainz, Gibbs, Idah, McCallum, Nunez, Fisher, Springett, Warner. I think 23 is the oldest age on that subs bench. Just looking at it there, which I think is Nunez. So it's a really contrasting bench in that sense. Back to the starting 11. Alterations in defence. You obviously mentioned Danny Bart coming back in. Shane Duffy, who obviously missed the win at Cardiff through a yellow card suspension. He returns today. What are your thoughts around that? Jayden Warner, obviously the one who misses out. I think there's I felt we had a bit of a wobbly 10 minutes before he came off at Cardiff, but on the whole, solid. Maybe if somewhat unspectacular. Is that kind of a fair assessment of his opening two starts in Championship football?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think I would understand it if Duffy had been on absolute top form and hadn't been playing in the way that he has for the last couple of months. I agree with that assessment really of Warner, that he was solid if unspectacular. I thought he was actually pretty decent in that Blackburn game when him and Duffy were actually subjected to just torrents of attack because of that lack of protection in front of him. I also wonder what it does for the confidence, really. If you're him, do you think now that every time a more experienced defender is available, Wagner's going to pick him? I think if I was him, I probably would. So there are question marks over that, and I think it's also worth bearing in mind this is a head coach who's spoken about wanting stability at the heart of defence. He's made 3 changes in the last game, 3 more changes ahead of this one, so not really too many signs of stability. There is a bit more experience in there. Obviously, you look at that back four and it's in line with the rest of the team in terms of the age and the profile of those players, so perhaps Wagner feels a bit more secure in that. But again, if it's a high defensive line, they've left themselves exposed there, really. I remember earlier in the season when Bart played for the under-21s to get some game time, we're seeing the fear in his eyes as the ball went over him and he had a race on with a striker. I think that defence does probably struggle from that standpoint, but I'm not surprised, and nor will anyone who's been keeping up with this Norwich City team this season be. It's got all the hallmarks of Wagner there, really, and I think, to be honest, Shane Duffy is a bit of a lucky boy with some of the performances he's been putting in this season to be so constantly selected and such a vital part of it. I'm not sure he's actually been on the bench yet, has he? The only reason he's come out was for that suspension. So, yeah, I'm not really quite sure what he's done in the last couple of months to warrant such unquestionable trust. But, you know, it seems that's what Wagner has in him, and I don't think that looks like it's going to go away particularly soon.
Obviously, John Rowe doesn't make it with that heel issue that has ruled him out of this game. I think there was hope, certainly towards, or when the news initially broke that he pulled out of the England under-21 squad, that he would be available for this game. That obviously hasn't proven to be the case. We'll get an assessment from David Wagner post game about what that means for Tuesday night's game against Watford. Just to bring you the QPR team, they're in a 4-3-3 this afternoon. They've got Asmir Begovic in goal, Kai, Dunn, Cook and Powell as their back four, Colback, Field and Dixon Bonner as the midfield three, with Elias Chair, Chris Willock and Lyndon Dykes up front. And the major issue for them this season has been chance creation. So you've got a team who concedes on average 2 goals a game at the moment, 32 and 16, against a team who have only scored 11 this season. So that's an interesting dynamic to play out this afternoon. The subs for QPR: Jordan Archer, Clark Salter, Dazelle, Richards, Larketch, Kelman, Duke McKenna, Drew and Armstrong. And obviously they're under new management, Marti Cifuentes, who joined from Swedish side Hammarby. And they've picked up 2 draws in his opening 2 games in charge, although he has, of course, had an international break to address maybe some of the issues that he feels they have. And actually on the road, they haven't been too bad this season. Both of their wins have come. They've taken 8 points on the road, as have, by the way, Norwich City. So not been awful on the road. Sam, let's speak about this game then. Norwich coming into it off the back of a win at Cardiff, a comeback win. There's obviously a huge amount of positivity felt internally about that win and what it could mean. As I said right at the top of the show, they've not recorded back-to-back wins since August. Feels like a big afternoon, doesn't it? Because people will look at QPR rightly, wrongly, and I know you put this to David Wagner, and he certainly feels wrongly, but there will be supporters turning up, knowing that QPR won 1 game in 11. Their last win came, or are winless in 11. Sorry, their last win came away at Middlesbrough back in August, I think. They are in the bottom 3. Norwich have only played one other team in the bottom 3, and that was Rotherham, and they got beat there earlier on in the season. Potential banana skin, I think, this one for Norwich City. How do you see this one going? That's a big intake of breath.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose there's a lot to unpack there. Really, first of all, on that sort of QPR point, I will say, as everyone knows, most managers, if not all at this level, will know you don't really want to go out and disrespect the opposition at a press conference. But I felt there probably was a way that Wagner could have remained respectful and also asserted that if the team wants promotion, which he's said is the goal for him going forward, that they should be winning games like this. As you said, QPR 23rd, not a win since August. I don't really see how you can big them up that much and say that it's going to be that difficult of a task. Yes, every game in the Championship is unpredictable, but they're continuing with this rhetoric that the promotion is their goal, and as much as me or you might not think that's I mean, I don't know about you, I don't think that's possible this season. If they're going to carry on this aim, then you have to admit that QPR at home 23rd is a game that you have to win. Having said all that, I do think Norwich will win. I don't think it will be an especially convincing performance because I don't see this Norwich team producing that, to be honest. But the QPR team is poor. Norwich have a few players who can produce moments. You look at Fasat, maybe Hernandez, given 10 or 15 tries. The likes of Yanulis and maybe even Barnes in there as well can produce moments. I don't think it will be a particularly fluid or exciting game. But yeah, I do see Norwich somehow scraping through this and Wagner limping on. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm the same. I think Norwich will win this game. I think there's so much pressure on them to do so. They certainly need to do that, if only for their league position and the way the season is transpiring. Mood as the supporters as well is a massive thing. They need to win here today and this afternoon. On Poeta, I believe that's a slight injury issue, but we'll clear that up again with David Wagner after the game. So I'm going to go for a 1-0 Norwich. Clean sheet is bold, I know. What are you going to go for?
I was thinking exactly the same. I know it's boring probably for the viewers for us to take the same prediction, but we have been speaking before, and I think that was the sort of feeling. I think you said Kenny McLean deflection. I'm feeling like Jack Stacey header at the back post or set piece goal. I don't think it's going to be, as I said, particularly exciting, but for the league table, I think Norwich fans would probably take any win. For Wagner's future, maybe not, because although he is a character that seems to be fairly liked amongst the fan base, and although they did win that Cardiff game, I wouldn't say the majority are convinced that he is going to turn things around long term. So I'm interested to see how that unfolds. I wonder what Ben Napper will be thinking if they do manage to get a sort of juxtapositional 1-0 win with quite a poor performance. A few threads to follow going into this game, but should be an interesting one, if not an entertaining one.
Yes, and we'll be across it, Pinkin.com, the place to go, the Pinkin Plus app, etc., etc. You know where to go. We're speaking to David Wagner post-match as well, whether you're at Carrow Road this afternoon or following on from afar. I hope you have an enjoyable one, and fingers crossed that Norwich City can record that win that they desperately need at home. Thanks for watching. See you soon.